Welcome in, everybody. This is After Dark. It's August 18th, 2024, AD, and that stands for After Dark. As we get going, Jim Dunaway. A little bit later on, Taylor Korn will join us. She's the host of Uncorked. So in her honor tonight, Little Red Wine. We've uncorked a nice Caldwell Hills, I believe, is the Chardonnay we have tonight in honor of our social media director, who will join us in just a second. A lot to get to before we get there, including our 12-team playoff picks. We'll get your comments after we talk to Taylor. Always our guest will have 6 questions, and then she doesn't know this yet, but then 6 this or that's a little bit later on, or questions about her game day experience. But first, just an overall thought from me on the start of the college football season. It starts Saturday, so we're less than a week now. It is game week for Florida State and Georgia Tech as they head to Dublin. And I think to myself about when I was young, and you remember us guys, we'd always use the old baseball analogy about first base, second base, third base, and so on. And we'd lie a lot, and we'd always brag about things and stuff. Opening weekend's a lot like first base. You remember those kissing parties you used to have in 7th, 8th grade, early on in high school, where you could kiss what seemed like for hours and hours. It didn't matter how good the kisser was. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. Maybe Susan had a little too much garlic salt on her pizza. Didn't matter. Or maybe the braces of Felicia got in the way. Didn't matter. You kissed and you kissed. And you loved it. That's what this opening weekend is. I just did our first TV schedule here. Not a lot of great games on this thing. Week 0, in fact, is Florida State, Georgia Tech at 11 a.m. on ESPN from over in Ireland, in Dublin. And then after that, I'm not sure I'll watch another game. Maybe a little SMU Nevada before SMU beats the brakes off of them. That'll be a bloodbath. Other than that, it's Florida State, Georgia Tech, possible upset. And then we wait for Thursday night. Then it gets pretty good. Then we go to second base, where we start to try to, figure out who's going to be good, and maybe we can be a little awkward and maybe a few upsets. And then we end up finally unhooking some good contests between some small and little athletic teams that are out to get you, and some overwhelming mammoth teams that are intimidating, but just a really good experience as we go through weeks 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Then later on, we get to third base, and then finally we go all the way to rivalry weekend and the championships. It's college football season, man, and I can't wait. As red-blooded Americans, I know you are too. Let's talk about camps and some things that happened today before we bring on Taylor Korn to talk some other SEC football. First off, we had a decommitment from Alabama today. You saw that on our social media platform. And we'll get into that and what's going on in camp after I tell you about our friends right there at Roback.com. Roback.com, promo code TNR20. That gets you 20% off your first order. They're with us throughout the football season, just like they were last season. That promo code is good for you. Promo code TNR20, 20% off that at Roback.com. So college football season kicks off this week, and injuries are a big part. We've seen Texas lose a couple of running backs. Texas A&M lost a running back. Notre Dame has lost on offensive lineman. Oregon had an injury this weekend. And then Alabama, they get an injury this weekend as well. Jaden Roberts, projected starter on the offensive line, has surgery on his hand, according to his mom. Gino Vandermark comes into the action. The 330-pounder from Michigan State, he was the guy that went in there, according to those that were watching the second scrimmage. You can get complete details on that over at covercrimson.com. Covercrimson.com. Just $1 to check it out. Clint Lamb, Mick Gillespie, Stacey Blackwood, and the entire gang, including throughout the season, Mike Johnson, national championship winning offensive lineman, and Jake Coker, national championship winning quarterback. They'll have content all year long. Covercrimson.com on the injuries and those who are shining, including how aggressive the defensive backs were in the scrimmage for Alabama this weekend. One of my friends who were there as part of Tide Pride told me, Jim, I think we would have lost 3 defensive backs in the first part of the scrimmage for targeting. They were that aggressive going after our receivers. And, if you're the kind of guy who was worried about that defensive backfield for Alabama, you don't want them to be getting ejected for targeting, but you sort of are fired up that they're that close to the ball, making plays in that scrimmage. That was the good news there. Good news on quarterbacks in Milroe and Ty Simpson as well. Down at Auburn, everyone continues to talk about Cam Coleman, the wide receiver, more big plays in their second scrimmage. Philip Bleedy, the guy who came in from Indiana, big 284. I heard he's buffed up to around 290 defensive lineman. He continues to be disruptive for Auburn. The guys, Kyle, Zach, Brad, all the guys at thebarnauburn.com, thebarnauburn.com, have your details there on that. You can go check that out, including some live shows that are free, but $1 at both sites gets you a opportunity to get behind the scene coverage, thoughts on practices and such like that throughout the season. Looking forward to hearing from those guys in our shows throughout the week, but I hope you take a moment to go and check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com. All right, before we bring little T in, here are my 12 teams for the playoffs. I'll get her reaction after they come in. Number 1 overall seed, not from the SEC. I'm going to go Ohio State. I think Ohio State's the best roster in college football. I think their schedule is easier than Georgia or anybody from the SEC. So put Ohio State down, number 1 for me. Number 2 will be Georgia. I've got them winning the SEC, but they will not do it undefeated. A tough roll to the playoffs for them. Number 3 out of the Big 12, Utah. Cam Rising back. Kyle Whittingham feels like this is his Nick Saban swan song. So I like Utah. The controversial 4th pick for me, nobody's picking Clemson. Good football team, good defense, experienced quarterback back. He's got to play better. But I think Dabo gets it done. Thinks he gets Clemson back to the playoffs as the ACC champions. Now the matchups for the first round games. Memphis is my pick to be the group of 5 team. I like Memphis at number 5, Oregon. I like Alabama to make the playoffs. And look at this storyline. Florida State from the ACC. I don't know. Long sip of wine as I think of what happened recently to Florida State, Alabama. Oh, that's right. Florida State got left out last year unbeaten as Alabama got into the playoffs. They'll talk about that a lot leading into that game. Number 10, surprise team for me. I'm going to make Lance Taylor really happy here. USC's in the playoffs. USC at Texas, who has a couple of stumbles along the way. And the last 2 teams in there for me, number 9, Ole Miss, and number 8, Penn State. So that gives you, I believe, if my count is right, 4 SEC, 4 Big 10, 2 from the ACC, 1 from the Big 12, and 1 group of 5. And those are your playoff teams there. Don't forget our friends at Roback.com. Roback.com. Let's bring in our girl, Taylor Korn, Uncorked, and also social media director with the next round. You sent out, before we get to the questions, you sent out a sort of a celebration tweet earlier today about your 2.5 years with us. We've done it for 3 years. You've been with us almost from day one. You still having fun at work?
I'm having so much fun. It's been quite the journey. I thought you were about to bring up my tweet about this that I sent out, talking about how I felt like it would be very similar to our streams on the way home from basketball games this past season.
I'm not hearing you, little T. Are you muted? Or are you going out, or is it my headphones that are not working?
I'm not muted.
You hearing me okay?
Yep.
Let me check the chat. Chat, everybody's okay. Everybody hearing Taylor? Everybody hearing Taylor? It must just be me. Here. I'll see if I can figure it out, Taylor.
Okay.
Taylor's been helping me all night long with this setup. Explain to them how technically I'm usually a lot better than this.
You are.
Okay, everybody hear Taylor. Taylor, you talk. Tell them stories.
Okay.
Old school.
Dunaway is typically fine with the technology. If this was Lance, we would be having a different conversation because Lance is typically the technically challenged one. But I'm wondering if the issue was your audio wasn't going through your headphones and it was going through.
Okay, perfect.
You can hear?
I can hear you now. That's embarrassing in show 1. If I do that in show 2, you got to bench me, okay? It becomes you and somebody else after dark. I got questions. For you. Anyway, congratulations on all those numbers you were talking about. And
congratulations to you too, Dunaway.
Well, we've been telling people that we could not be where we are without you. And everybody, all 12 people have such a great role up there. And, Sells and Lunsford basically everything that's technically right at our places from Lunsford, and then you and Forrester and EG, everybody just does such a great job. And I feel like Brown, me, and LT get to take so many bows because of all this work you guys do behind the scenes. So we appreciate you so much. I got questions, and I hope you have answers, okay?
Okay.
And
I'll try my best.
The first one I want to start with, because you and I, you're an Auburn person. I grew up an Alabama fan. So my question to you is, do you ever get asked about you and Dunaway? Are y'all really fighting over Auburn and Alabama all the time? Are those for real, or is that play TV kind of stuff? So are those real, or how do you answer those questions?
They're very real. None of it's play TV. And I think over the past, I guess, 2.5 years, Dunaway has learned how to press my buttons and when to press my buttons to get me fired up. So you might be doing it to make it good TV or good entertainment, but my emotions and my reactions are not. That's not made up. That's not made up. That's very real. But hey, that's part of the fun. But I will say there are people out there that are worse. When I'm actually upset, you typically give me some grace.
I do give you, I get you going, but then I back off really quick. Once I see the temperature rise a little bit, I really throttle down. Like I don't like, I'll poke the bear, but I will not get in the cage with the bear. That's the way I play
Yeah, well, you typically poke the bear and then start laughing.
it. I do. I do. Okay, I want a couple of thoughts from you, because you have been interviewing so many Auburn personalities in a preseason Auburn version of Uncorked, counting down to the season. Those are all available to everybody if you want to go back and see Taylor interviewing some recruits who are on their way to Auburn, and some new players at Auburn, and some of the personalities that cover Auburn. It's not an Auburn question, it's an SEC question. If I asked you the most underappreciated player in the Southeastern Conference right now, who do you think it is?
Okay, so when I started thinking about this, I started thinking about who had talent last year that, I mean, okay, let me backtrack and let me just give you the person that I'm thinking about to begin with, and then I'm gonna have to explain myself because you're probably gonna say, "What the heck?"
No, no, no. I
But
like this. Go ahead.
I was thinking a lot about Harold Perkins because I'm not saying that people don't talk about him or he isn't appreciated, but because of how awful LSU's defense was last year, I feel like he his the defensive side of the ball for LSU got a lot of hate because their offense was they had the number one ranked offense in the SEC last year. Their defense, I'm pretty sure, was 13, with only Vanderbilt having worse numbers.
Yeah. And then
So
the 100s nationally are close to it. Yeah.
right. So I don't know if that really answers your question of underappreciated, because I think he is appreciated, but that's a very talented player that was in not the greatest situation last season.
My guy is Brady Cook, quarterback of Missouri, because you got a team here with Missouri. Now he's got the best receiver in college football, according to everybody, in Luther Burden. But Brady Cook doesn't get any credit because Luther Burden is so good. It's sort of like when Mac Jones was quarterbacking at Alabama. Now he went on to get drafted, and now he's a backup guy with Jacksonville. But Mac Jones was throwing to 4 NFL wide receivers, so he never got any credit. But Mac was pretty darn good as a college quarterback. I'm not going to say he's going to make it in the NFL or not. I think he was dealt a tough hand in New England. But Brady Cook sort of in that situation. Everyone talks about Luther Burden, but nobody talks about Brady Cook. Now, I didn't have Missouri in my playoffs. I think it's hard for me to imagine that helmet in the playoffs. But that team's got an easy schedule, and if Brady Cook's healthy, I don't think anybody gives him a lot of respect. So Brady Cook is that guy for me. You like to occasionally drop a wager with our friends at mybookie.ag. You and I, we're not Lance at lanceslock.com. He's a pro. You and I like to play the parlays. We like to play the players props and things like that. If I asked you right now, you're going to make a bet on this year's SEC player of the year, not the Heisman, but basically the best player in the SEC, offense or defense? Who is that for you?
Okay, which this pains me to say, which I like this guy a lot, but when I think about the end of the season, how it could go, I said Jalen Milroe because I think obviously a lot of eyeballs are on Alabama. Nick Saban's gone. There was a lot of question marks about, can Kalen DeBoer recruit, so on and so forth, what everyone's been hearing all offseason. But he was he sixth when it came to the Heisman voting last season?
I think that is correct.
And he struggled at the beginning of the season. Everyone remembers the South Florida game. He got benched for a little bit, but he can perform in big games, and he's shown that. So I think going into this season, he's going to be, he's confident that he has a starting position. And I cannot remember if it was a guest that was on the next round or if it was just something that I read, but it was in Alabama, someone that covers Alabama, talking about how they think Jalen Milroe is one of the players that benefits most with the transition to DeBoer from Saban. So I feel like he's going to be confident going into the season. He and Tyler Booker both were kind of voices for DeBoer and company after Saban retired, saying, we never wavered. We were going to be here. He's a talented player. He's confident. And if the transition is as beneficial for him as people think that it will be, it would be quite the story.
Now, wait, I had some technical difficulties earlier when my AirPods went dead. Did you just say Alabama's quarterback would be your sneaky good wager for SEC Player of the Year?
I did, yeah. I'm not trying to be a homer here.
Oh, you're not. You're not. I mean, if you'd have said Peyton Thorne or Cam Coleman, that would have been a homer pick. You went the other side of the state. Look
exactly.
At you, Taylor Korn. Hugh Freeze, we've had a chance to see him at SEC Media Days. We talked with him there. We've had a chance to go down and spend some time with him on campus. If I asked Taylor Korn, who spent part of her 20s, back in the early 20s, on the campus at Auburn, what do you think of Hugh Freeze so far?
I'm happy. I'm happy with where Auburn is right now. I'm one that has unrealistic expectations. That's part of who I am when it comes to Auburn athletics. I think, no matter who we're playing, I think that we should win every game. Last season, obviously, there were some bad losses, and everyone remembers that. That's not forgotten. But we have to remember that he was taking over a program that was run into the ground for 2 seasons under Brian Harsin. The man didn't recruit. He didn't believe in recruiting. Dabo Swinney doesn't believe in the transfer portal. Brian Harsin just didn't believe in recruiting as a whole, I don't think. And so what he's been able to do, the recruiting class, the 2025 recruiting class, what he's been able to accomplish after a losing season is incredibly impressive to me. So in my mind, I'm thinking, what will he be able to do once they start winning? Obviously, Peyton Thorne is a big question mark, but once you start thinking about all the behind the scenes things that were going on that were out of his control, it makes me have higher hopes for what he could do this season, especially with the talent that's been brought in around him. Again, another question mark. They're very young receivers. How will they transition from high school to college? I don't know, but we are moving in the right direction. I think that, and I think the speed at which he's done it has been impressive to me when I make myself think realistically, because Auburn, the program was it was a disaster when he took it over. So I think I have to remind myself of that a lot, because you got to give the guy grace. It's been a disaster. Why would anyone want to play there after that? Yes, there's a history, and he has resources. He has so many resources now. A lot of the behind the scenes people at Auburn, they want to see them win, and they're willing to, do what it takes. And I feel good about it. I don't want to say too much about this season because I don't want to jinx anything.
Yeah.
But I think he's moving in the right direction for sure. And I think that this season will tell a lot, because my concern is if you have another slip up like New Mexico State or a bowl game that was, painful to watch, then will you lose some of these 2025 guys?
Yeah,
Zach Blackerby.
You don't want to lose those momentum. You don't want to lose that momentum.
Right. And
Yeah.
he had a very interesting opinion on that. And he said, I don't think that this season matters as much as some people are making it out to be, because the I guess the vision that these 2025 guys are being sold is come make a difference, come have an immediate impact. But I don't obviously everyone will feel better about it if we have a good season. And I feel good about our season. I do. I think that obviously there will be a few losses, but in the grand scheme of things, looking at where Auburn was to where they are now, I think fans should be happy.
Okay, two more questions and a quick six, and then we'll get to some comments and wrap up the first Dunaway After Dark for the season. We hope to do this every Sunday night all the way through the Final Four, and we'll drop in some others throughout the week for you. But the main one every Sunday night at 10 o'clock Central, as we'll talk about the weekend in college football and then the weekend in basketball. Speaking of basketball, last year, you and I rode Auburn and Alabama to Nashville for the SEC tournament. Auburn cuts down the nets, and we rode Alabama all the way to the Final Four. They cut down some nets along the way. Is there any chance that we have as much excitement and fun this football season with Auburn and Alabama as we had in basketball season?
Yes, but I think a different kind of excitement. I think the excitement around basketball is Alabama's never been a basketball state. Alabama's always been a football state. So up until the past few years when, they've been getting some attention nationally, both Auburn and Alabama, that's when more eyeballs, more local eyeballs that are typically just football all the time have started, paying a little bit of attention. When your team's winning, fans are going to get excited and fans are going to start paying attention. So I think yes, because year two under Hugh Freeze, there are a lot higher expectations. Last year was a question mark. This year, people are feeling a lot more confident about a lot of aspects of the program, I would say. In Tuscaloosa, obviously, the storyline is the Saban era is over. Everyone knows that DeBoer can win, but how will the season go? So I think that there's excitement, yes, but a very different kind of excitement. It's not new football excitement. It's transitional football excitement.
Okay, if I ask you to be honest here, I want you to be honest with me, whether you're happy about this or not. We'll assume none of your friends are watching this, but I did credentials for the entire next round season today with Auburn, Alabama. Some of the road games we're going through to SEC championship games. And along the way, you said you're going to go to some games this year, but you had some blackout dates because of some wedding obligations. What's up with that? Weddings in the fall? You're going to miss some football Saturdays because of wedding stuff?
Against my will, yes.
How many?
Well, I have so one of my very best friends who I lived with in Auburn is getting married. So I have her bachelorette trip and her wedding. So that's 2 weekends. And then
Okay.
there is a wedding on Auburn, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia weekend, which I will not be attending. I'm not going to 3, and I have 2 weddings and 1 bachelorette trip. So I'm going to 3. I'm not going to 3. I'm sorry, but it's my work. I can't miss work.
I understand. Okay, we'll get to the comments in a second, but I got 6 quick questions for you here. So rapid fire for me. College football drive. When I did my bracket punishment, you were really good about bringing snacks in my new truck. So in your college football drive to the stadium, sweet or salty, which is your favorite?
I think it has to depend on what time of day it is.
Okay, let's
'Cause if it's
say it's a big game at Auburn. You got a nice 6:30 kick.
okay, I would say sweet and salty. I would say bold Chex Mix
Bold Chex Mix.
and a bag of Jolly Ranchers always.
Okay, I just now finished my second bag of dill pickle chips that you had me buy. I tried those, liked them, and so I've been eating those nonstop. Your favorite tailgate food when you get down to the plains, you're outside on the lawn there. Your
Ooh.
favorite tailgate food is?
Ooh, probably Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets.
Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. Go-to drink on game day. Or are you able to mix it up? You know me. If I'm drinking wine, I got to stick with wine all day. If I drink beer, I got to do beer all day. Professionals tell me that's all in my head. Do you mix it up? What's your favorite go-to drink on game day?
If it's an early game, a mimosa. If it's a night game,
6:30 at night. Let's say October 18th.
okay, 6:30. I'm not drinking liquor all day because that's a bad idea. I would
Right.
probably drink beer and then probably a little vodka. prior.
Little vodka prior. Afterwards, would you rather have a DJ, go to a place that has a DJ or a live
Yes,
band?
DJ. I don't need the second option. DJ.
Yeah, DJ all the time. No, you
DJ is
don't like
always the
live band.
answer.
Yep. Do you get out and dance?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Are you a good dancer? Because I am not.
Probably not.
Probably not, but you do, the game day drinks help with that. All
Yeah.
right. Let's see here. Do you dress to drop jaws or do you dress for comfort on game day?
I think that any of the 11 people besides myself that we work with, what do you think that they would say? I think it would be a 100%. Everyone would answer the same.
You usually dress for comfort at work, but on game
Correct.
day, I think I saw you on game day one time at Auburn, and you were in an orange sort of short
A dress.
jumper outfit. It seemed like.
I am always dressing for comfort, especially
Yeah.
because it's during August, or I guess end of August, September. It's hot.
Your
I'm
home
not
schedule sucks this year. First 5 games at home, it'll be 1,000 degrees.
right. Sneakers and the most comfortable option always.
Okay, last one. If you could only have one of these, just one of these, I'm taking the Alabama game out of it because I know your answer. But you can only have one of these: a win at Georgia in football, or your Auburn basketball team is the regular season SEC champions this year. No guarantee they do anything in the NCAA tournament, but regular season SEC champions or football beats Georgia in Athens. Which would you take?
Are these both this year?
Yes, this year only.
Okay. Beat Georgia in Athens, because I think that would do some crazy things for our schedule.
Okay, beat Georgia is your answer.
And I think that's the more unlikely scenario.
Yeah, if our buddy Stephen Pearl's watching, she's got faith in you that you'll do something in the NCAA tournament. She's not throwing you under the bus.
No, I'm saying it's more unlikely that we beat Georgia in Athens. So
I would
I'll
agree.
That.
You'll take that one and make sure they take care of it.
Right, and I'll just ride with what we've got.
Yeah. All right. Some of the comments. By the way, I did not give my SEC Player of the Year. You dropped Jalen Milroe. I'm going to go sneaky here, and I think the SEC player. I mean, everyone would say Carson Beck, right? Because he's going to be the favorite. So I'm gonna go off the board. And I'm going to say the SEC, the best player in the SEC this year is going to be
I also, if you need time to think for a second, I also had a calculation that went into my answer. I forgot to say this.
Okay, throw it out there.
So I think if this math is correct, I'm pretty sure since 2002, wait, I wrote it down. Since 2002, 12, well, this is just offensive. I was just looking at offensive player of the year. 12 have been quarterbacks, 8 have been running backs, and 2 have been receivers. So I just went with, and then Carson Beck's a boring answer because he's, he'll have the best odds to win.
I'm gonna go Jackson Dart of Ole Miss because I had him making the playoffs, and that'll be a pretty interesting little role there if they make the playoffs. Richard writes in, I think Auburn's going to ruin some people's season, and that's coming from a Bama fan here. What do you think of that?
I'd be happy if it happened. I think the first 4 games will tell us a lot, again, because a lot of our offensive weapons are very young, and we need them to get comfortable fast because our offense is going to be very dependent on how comfortable they get, how well they play early in the season. Because if we drop one of those early games, there's no telling.
All right. Comments rolling in. We appreciate them all night long. John says Freeze needs more recruiting cycles. It does seem, and see if you've heard this, it does seem like a lot of people are saying for Hugh Freeze 2025. I keep hearing a lot of 2025. You hear that?
Yeah, I agree. And I think because this is, he had his first season. This is the first year that I feel like he has his staff in order. He had a full season to recruit. And I think by next year he'll have, it'll be all his guys that he wants in there. The staff, assuming it stays the same from, this season to next season, they'll all be comfortable and they'll be in more of a routine. I feel like right now it's still a lot of transition with there's 2 new coordinators this year. So that obviously, there's going to be some adjustment time in there. But yeah, I mean, I think that this year will be better than last year. if not sound the alarms. But yeah, I think that next year we could be very dangerous.
Landmine believer on your um, snacks on the road to games. He likes fruit and sour candies. We do get on a sour candy kick sometimes on the road trips. That was one of my favorite things in hindsight. I had a lot of good memories from that bumpy ride we took to Dallas, Texas for SEC Media Days. We had to carry all of our stage out there and multiple cameras and lighting and all that. And instead of just two of us driving it out there, the whole team decided to drive out there. And that ended up being fun. I mean, you slept a lot of the way, but it ended up being fun.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't really even have a comment on this because I think I slept the entire drive there and the entire drive home. They would wake me up to get food and then
then right back to sleep. All right. I moved past it. I'm horrible at getting all these questions in, but I will do this. There was one that came by and said, and this will be our final topic here. We'll try to keep this at 30 minutes every Sunday night for you guys. The question was, I forget who did it, but it was, which fan base is excited about the season and they don't realize it yet they're going to have a disappointing year? So let's just keep it in the SEC.
Ooh.
So which team, I mean, there's 10 teams that think they're going to have a really, really good year. There may be 10 teams that think they're going to make the playoffs. Which team's really excited and think they're going to, I'm going to give you a hint on mine.
Okay. Oh, Tennessee. Are you?
I'm not going to light it because I promised.
I was about to say.
I promised pay to court I'd save this one for October.
Ooh.
I think Tennessee is. They're having good. They settled a recruit from Alabama today. They're recruiting great. I think they're number 6 in the country in recruiting, and a lot of people are saying Nico. I think Tennessee is set up for a little disappointment. I'm not that they're going to fall off the earth, but would they be happy with 8-4? Would they be happy with another loss to Alabama?
No, I don't think so. No. I think okay. I just saw Landmine Believer said after hearing Matt Jones today, Kentucky, and I've read something about this. I'm pretty sure it was some comment about Auburn saying you really don't have to be that good. I don't know. I don't want to quote it, but he was very high on Kentucky from what I was reading on Twitter earlier. I'm going to say Oklahoma. Their schedule is tough. So, I mean, they could be a really good team and still, which I don't know what they would think to be a good season. I don't know what would be considered successful to them, but I think that they have a lot of opportunity for things to fly off the rails because their schedule is probably one of the toughest.
I just don't know if they're expecting to be, a playoff team this year. That their tradition says they are. They bring a lot of Alabama attitude into the league because, they've won a lot of championships. They've won a lot more than Texas has. LT doesn't think Texas makes the playoffs. He said that last week on the next round. And if Texas
or
doesn't
Ole Miss, right?
Or Ole Miss. So if both of those miss, both of those teams will be disappointed. But I couldn't say either one of those because I put them in my playoffs. If you missed that, you can go back and see that. This show will be up forever, as all of our content is all the time at the next round. Thank you, Taylor. It won't always be Taylor on Sunday nights, but she's always very nice to open up her platform on Uncorked for me to come on. So I hope she will come back when I need her to hop on here, and maybe she'll teach me how to keep my headphones charged and how to work all the stuff behind the scenes here. And hope you guys enjoyed it. The first of a lot of Sunday nights together all the way through the Final Four, and then we'll drop some throughout the week as well, some short ones and some. She taught me how to do a mailbag, so maybe we'll do some mailbags during the week, and we'll just answer some mailbag questions. And I think she taught me how we can open up packages and try on some clothes. I can do that on one of mine, right? I can do some of that. Wouldn't that be
whatever
good?
You want?
No.
If that's what you want to do, I'll support you.
All right. That's our first Dunaway After Dark. Taylor Korn, she is the best. And we will see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Time. And 1 week from tomorrow, Monday Morning Live debuts. And we'll be back doing that, Tom Luganville and myself, 7 a.m. every Monday morning. And a lot of announcements this week on the next round about what's coming up this football season. But don't forget, already up, thebarnauburn.com, thebarnauburn.com, and covercrimson.com. Go and subscribe there. Try it out for a month for just $1. See if you like it. Thank you guys for the 997 of you who have eyeballs on us right now. Thank you for being with us. That's Dunaway After Dark. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central Time on the next round.